Hey, what is up people, this is Johnny and today we're going to do a new Pokemon theory on the timeline and the alternate universe. With the release of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it seems that the storyline may have changed a bit and the timeline and dimensions as well in this game have changed quite a bit. The first evidence of this is when you're in the Delta episode, when Cynthia mentions, that's right, a Hoenn region that's almost exactly like this one we live in. A world where maybe the evolution of Pokemon took a slightly different path. Pokemon took a slightly different path where Mega Evolution is unknown. So what I'm talking about this is that in the other alternative universe, in the original Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, there was no existence of a Mega Evolution Pokemon and they never went to Mega Evolution. So they're starting to state that that is another universe in the games, the original games, Pokemon Emerald and Ruby and Sapphire. There were no Mega Evolutions and that this is a different story from what that is. So the original games are completely different from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. That's kind of what she is saying. And then she mentions a world where that war 3,000 years ago never happened. A world where the ultimate weapon was never even built. So does this mean that in the other world, the Kalos War never happened 3,000 years ago? So that was never happened in that world either. So that never existed over there in that world. So as you can see, that's some stuff that means that there are definitely confirmed alternate dimensions in Pokemon, or alternate universe, whatever you want to call it. And the other thing that I want to show you next is the timeline in Pokemon. So let's say for example the classic universe says unable to transfer into the multiverse. This is red and blue, so, and yellow as well. These games were all connected to each other's storyline. Well, they're pretty much the same, but they're all connected to the storyline. Then they go into gold and silver. They're connected into the storyline. And yes, they're all connected. So that's the classic universe. Basically, it ends there and then it doesn't know. There's no place where it continues. That's why they're all question marks. Let's go into the dual slot universe. To transfer needs to move through time and space. So could it be that these are different universes, or are they set in the same world as well? So let's go with the original Ruby, Sapphire, and Fire Red and Leaf Green. They are in the same universe. They're in the same world. They happen at the same time. They can transfer Pokemon, battle each other at the same time because they're in the same timeline in place. There's no timeline different from that. They're in the same one. And then the continuation, it goes into Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and then it goes into Pokemon Platinum, Diamond, and Pearl. They are still continuing the story from the previous games, are still kind of mentioned in this game that they have some type of connection into a different world over there. And then we go way into the future that kind of looks futuristic, which is black and white version. So they have their little storyline there. They're connected. They still have some mentionings of the previous games. The storyline is going well. And then we have White 2 and Black 2, which is the storyline is still mentioned. Now we have a question mark there. We would assume that X and Y is actually the continuation of that. But they do have mentionings in X and Y about the previous universe in Pokemon White 2 and Black 2. They have mentionings. And the discovery of Mega Evolutions are in X and Y. But there is another thing, that there may be actually a third universe and they may not actually connect to the previous games from the second universe we have not seen. Is the Mega Evolutions. This could probably change everything. With the release of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, there's definitely Mega Evolutions in the game, and both of them there's Mega Evolutions, so they have been discovered, and there were more Mega Evolutions discovered on Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So could it be that X and Y are either in the same universe, or X and Y is continuing the universe of the discovery of the Mega Evolution Stones? I highly doubt it, but I think that only X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are in a totally new universe of their own. Now it says here that There are mentions of Colorus, there are mention of Blue, a painting of Mr. Brainy and Pico. They have been mentioned, but could it be that Nintendo may be planning future remakes for another universe, a third universe in Pokemon that have Mega Evolution Stones, and the whole universe may be remade like previous games may actually have a remake? My suggestion for the next remakes of Pokemon would have to be Diamond and Pearl. In my opinion, it's the most logical one that will come up next in the remakes, and probably have Mega Evolution Stones there. That could be actually a possible thing. But where will this end up in the storyline of the originals? Will this continue from it, or will it just disband from it? Now, there is definitely a prediction that X and Y 2 may be coming out soon, or Z. This may actually have some further explanation to it, but as of right now, we are only seeing this universe of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and XY. But I also want to mention the anime special that they had with Red, where Red actually did have a Mega Evolution. Could it be that they decided to add Red right into the storyline as well, where he is having a Mega Evolution Charizard? And could it be canon with the same thing, or is it not canon? I think it's most likely that it is canon with the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire universe in X and Y. So it probably is canon that's where they want to place the Red into the new universe of Pokemon. Now, it is quite confusing, I know. But this is all I could come up with the new timeline, how it's just changed it quite a bit, and how I think it is differently now. So I want to mention another thing, that in Twitter, one of the lead designers of Pokemon, Misu Yan, confirms that the timeline of Fire Red, Leaf Green equals the same timeline as Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and Heart Gold, Soul Silver equals the same timeline as Diamond and Pearl, and Black and White equals the same, and Pokemon Black and White 2 equals the X and Y timeline. So this pretty much sums it up on the timeline. But the other thing is that when you're playing the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it asks several different questions. Are there another alternative timeline in the whole story? Is there two things happening at the same time? Is there three timelines happening at the same time during the storyline? It still leaves questions. That is the problem. Thanks for watching this Pokemon theory, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment on what you think about the theory. Also, if you want to check out some other awesome videos, make sure to click on the two boxes in the middle in order to go and watch those videos.